We'll get you in and get you out. So
Okay, that's good. Good to see you.
All right, we're back in session. And Shanda?
Good morning, Commissioners. Shanda Crystal, Purchasing and Economic Analyst. I have a few items before the board and would like to start with the conflict public defenders. So just updating everybody with a few things that we had moving on. Interviews were held last Wednesday and an offer of employment has been extended, as well as a conversation to join our pool attorneys as well. So we're super excited about filling our employment slot. And then they anticipate starting in about September is when they're hoping to
Both of them?
to join.
Or just,
Man anticipates being here between the 1st and the 15th. I haven't been able to get a hold of Amy yet to get her in the pool. I
okay.
tried calling her yesterday to let her know that an offer had been made. So we'll see about that one.
Okay.
So they can,
But talking about juvenile and Amy, she had a desire to be in that.
Right.
So if we get a contract with her, that would help solve part of that concern.
Sooner the better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Obviously.
but then the other individual that's coming, he had actually tried cases in this courtroom with Judge Smith before he was on the 9th. So he was very familiar with this area. He'd had several cases that actually went to the Idaho Supreme Court and a couple that he defended to the Supreme Court from the federal government side. So it was one of those guys that kind of retired, and we were like, you know what, if this guy really wants to come back and do stuff,
All right.
so.
Okay.
Right, and he is very active about things, right? He's already reached out about training on CP cases and stuff like that, and so he is moving right along.
I'm hoping that would be somebody, because it's not a monetary reason of why he's wanting to come here. I mean, he's already retired, so he has a pension, but it would be somebody that I think that for the next 10 years or so could probably be a really good asset for the courts.
Great.
So just some house cleaning. So then can we close the posting for the employment position for the attorney?
Yes,
And then repost the senior administrative assistant position?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, I didn't know, as we're talking about CP cases, so that is one of our bigger concerns now, is that how they were going to one of our contract attorneys solely, and then wanting to make sure that that doesn't happen anymore in the conversation that had happened, but wanting to know, right, how do we get from here to September when we have a full-time employee to take those cases, and just wanting to understand what is the best process for assigning as those come in.
So, Judge, you've talked with Judge Call on the system,
We,
kinda?
Carrie and I have been in Twin Falls since the first of the week, so that's on our agenda to do that tomorrow. My hope is that we'll get that done. That has a lot to do with conflicts and the judge appointing specific counsel, so we'll change that process after we talk with him tomorrow. To that extent, I don't know, that might help, but it still doesn't eliminate the
Yeah.
need for another conflict counsel
Yeah.
for appointment on those cases when there is conflict.
And honestly, if we get a hold of,
that's what I was going to suggest. Maybe we offer a contract on a limited basis just to kind of help with our new internal counsel to get his bearings underneath him and get us through September.
well,
He's already signed up for classes with the PDC. So.
well, the lady,
Yeah. I was gonna
if
say
we
offer-
get a hold of her and get her as a contract, I think
Well,
that we'd fill that need
Yeah, if we could
right
start-
now.
If we could start it August 1st, if possible, that would make a huge difference in what we're
because
doing.
coming by about September, you should have, I mean, I know that's a little ways away, but by about September, you should have 3 or 4 people between the conflicts and everybody there, and it's just as long as Judge Call knows, hey, instead of just grabbing whoever you want to have do it, if we can get it back through the system to where it's, because those
Right.
predominant, well, the full-time counsel, they have 2, almost 3 times the caseload that they can handle.
We'll work on resolving that tomorrow, making sure that we have that process in place. And then if we could get one more attorney
Yep.
by the 1st of August, that would make a huge difference, I think.
Well, and
So
we'll
rather than do the
we'll
pool, extend the contract to her.
Well, just, no, she's in the pool, but, I mean, it's just like the other ones that quit us, and kind of how they are.
yeah.
I mean,
just make sure that she knows that she's in the pool, that she's willing, that we can get her cases starting next immediately. And that's the whole thing, is we want to continue any attorney that we can find that's willing to take a child protection case and put them in the pool. It might only be one case a month or 2 cases, whatever it is, but if you have 4 or 5 more attorneys that can, hey, we have a case available, would you take it for us, as we can rotate those through the pool. That's how we start building that to where, you know, we have some.
So she's currently in the pool of attorneys?
She will be in the pool.
Yes.
She expressed interest in that. We haven't made contact yet.
Okay.
So I'll do that today, hopefully.
And then you'll let Brandy
Yeah.
know, and then Brandy can put her in, and then
Absolutely.
we'll start that rotation.
Yes.
The rotation. That's fine.
And like I said, the more attorneys we can get in that rotation, you know, some of them might take a lot more cases than others, but that just helps take, if we do need them, it takes the burden off some of those others.
Okay.
I know the current pool, a lot of them are hesitant to accept the CP cases.
Those are the hard
And
ones.
that's why I didn't know if we wanted to maybe offer a contract to her, because that was her interest.
Well,
But
Okay.
we'll get her in the pool then.
I'd like to experiment a little.
get her in the pool and let's see how she does.
Okay. All right,
The interview was interesting, so I'd like to.
yeah.
Get her in the pool.
Is that
All right.
a good thing or a bad thing?
It just is.
No, she had a lot of desire in that area.
Okay, that's good.
But she moved here from Florida. She
Okay.
lives up in Rexburg. She was about 8 minutes late for her appointment and didn't even say anything about it when she sat down. So, like I say, I want to experiment a little bit. I'd hate that to be the occasion or the
don't wanna-
occurrence in that courtroom.
Don't want to have the judges deal with that. So. Just
Okay?
Okay,
That sounds good. Thank you.
perfect.
Excellent. So that would, ultimately, we'd have the 2 employees and we'd have 2 contracts, and then our pool attorneys that we have so far would be there. Wondering if we wanted to leave that contract open and available for individuals? Do we want to see how that plays out?
The way
Do we
that
wanna close it?
budgeting's going, that contract's going to end up getting absorbed, isn't it? Is that how we?
I've just got it all consolidated in one line.
Honestly, if we fill these positions like we're saying, I'd like to take it off for a little while, and then if we need to, put it back on, because I think it's been out there long enough that people have quit paying attention
Yeah.
to it.
Right.
So if we need to bring it back, you know, in a few weeks or something,
Well, and then
If-
you can also see how the employees do and what extra overflow we have.
yeah.
And if
Maybe we
you-
won't need it.
And if you can get a pool attorney that is really good, maybe that's kind of where you go is, hey, we have a pool attorney that wants to do it. What we're seeing though too is just by going by the hour, all these attorneys that said, oh, we're working so many hours. Well, all of a sudden now, once they've had to document all their hours, we've actually seen a very large reduction in how much it's actually costing us for public defense, because now they have to account for, what, down to 10-minute increments are we at?
10 minutes.
10-minute increments, and all of a sudden, we've had bills that, instead of being the contract set amount at 5,000, well, it's in 33, 31. And so I actually would prefer to keep it just at the hourly rate and just have all the money in the pool, because I think we actually get better bang for the buck, and you actually get those attorneys that are really focused on that time then, because that's what they're spending on their client. So I'm okay with paying them that way instead of the flat rate fee. So.
I like, right, this is new for us, so as we, like Christy mentioned, as we fill that other employment spot and see how things move, roll forward, if we need it, right, we can always post that again, but right, to be able to see how that works out over the next few months, I think would be great. So we'll go ahead and close. We're going to close the employment position, we're going to repost the senior administrative assistant position, and then close the contract as well. Okay, perfect.
Just right quick with the other conflict counsel that we have, how's that been working out so far? Have you guys?
Commissioner, I had a chance to check in with Brandy earlier this week. It sounds like things have slowed down a little bit. We hadn't had the pressure we had around here, so the workload has been manageable. She said actually it's been working out just fine, and had a similar observation about some of the hourly billings that were coming in relative to the previous contract relationships.
Okay.
Well, I've had a couple of them say hello, actually, when they've gone down the hall now, instead
A
of
little
scowl and run. So,
One last thing before you guys go, we have it in budget for Judge Jarman's courtroom that we'll probably be looking at. I think that'll probably go, but could you guys start getting us some time windows?
Yeah.
and get the schedule lined out, because the second that we have the ability to do that, we need to start getting ready to get on it.
I was bugging Braden
Yeah.
earlier this week about, because we want to do that walkthrough for
Yep.
the visualization, and we wanted to push it to August a little bit to give you guys a chance to come up out of budget.
BOE.
Yeah, and so we're doing the walkthrough. Dan has some preliminary plans. We can send it out to have
Okay.
everybody looking at it. But I think our real kickoff point is after we do the walkthrough, we come to consensus, and then we kind of overlay what we have in the budget, what's available, and some choices we'll have to make. And let's do this.
Okay. Yeah, we need to get her courtroom mainly, because that's the one that has to get done no matter what, so.
I'd hate her to roll off that
Again.
bench. Yeah, I knew she did once.
Again. Yeah.
Seeing over the top of that bench must have been built, well, Judge Thompson I saw him at the grocery store the other day, and he's gotta be 6'2", so, it's a little bit different. So,
All right.
all right,
I
good?
just have some office administrative stuff, so. yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Judge.
much.
Thank you, Carrie.
So then moving forward with the office itself, just catching up the commission on a few things that had been approved. I did want to touch base now that we do have the offer of employment as far as ordering letterhead, business cards, and a cell phone goes.
Okay.
If we wanted to move forward with all of those, if we would like to wait until September.
I'd go ahead and start getting everything here.
Okay. There has been a little bit of delay on getting Rockies here, just because of the switch in the logo and stuff like that, but that final proof is being prepared and should be here shortly, and so his should be moving forward pretty quick. We'll go ahead and send, once we have the other one prepared, we'll send it to that attorney for proof and before we get it ordered. We'll move
Okay.
forward and get those ordered. As far as some other items that had been approved, signage has been ordered for that office, as well as the purchase of a small fridge, a microwave, or shredder have all been completed. And the Western Records Destruction has picked up their large bin as it was not needed. So all those we're able to do. Touching base with the court marshals, they were able to go and work on the alarm system. They do have it active, and so that is up and running. They just are waiting on the other attorney and staff as far as placement goes of the buttons, but once they get here, right, they'll get those installed and have it done. They were also able to hold some safety training with the staff as well. So those.
The other thing too with that, for security reasons, I've noticed a couple times as I've driven by there, especially after hours, there's a whole bunch of cars in the parking lot that I'm assuming they're neighbors or somebody, but they look like we're having a party out in the parking lot the other night. We need to get some signs. This is private, do not park here, do not be here after hours. We need to step up, we need to probably have a discussion with the sheriff's office and contact Pokey PD and just ask them to add that to their route. There was some car that was parked right next to the building the other night, and I couldn't tell. I even pulled in the parking lot and drove around. I couldn't see anybody, but literally the car was right next to the building, and it didn't look like it was an employee's car. So we need to start having that patrolled a lot better.
I waved.
You waved?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll work on getting some more signs about the area being.
Yeah, and just if we work with the sheriff's office and have them work with Pokey PD, and let's just see if we can get some people through there.
More patrol.
And Daniel has also resumed mail delivery there, so that has been working out great.
Okay.
The last thing I have for their office is that the Rocky did make a budget request. I just didn't know to have him come into the next budget meeting and talk to the commission. He's asking for a small fund for emergent client needs, such as trial clothing, gas, travel expenses. I didn't know how best to move that request forward.
Have him come meet
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah.
He's just like everybody else.
Okay.
Preferably on Tuesday.
Well, and some of that stuff, like trial clothing and some of that stuff,
At the beginning of budget meetings.
I think our public defender's office might have some talk with our, so there's usually like, they'll have suits and like there's some of the stuff they've had donated and things like that over the years. I've seen a couple of the different entities that have that, and I remember talking to Dave about that specifically one time. So just, we need to probably talk to our public defender's office and see what they do and how they have it. There's no reason to create two separate things if they already have one there. If they're, because what
If
they
they're
normally
vet-
do will
If
get
they're
a,
veterans, they already have it up.
yeah, the
by ISU.
veterans have a veterans closet up there. But what I'm saying is typically I thought our public defender's office had a couple suits and jackets and stuff like that they do. And then what they do is then they let the person wear them and then they take them to the dry cleaner. And so that's what I say is I would see what our public defender's office has first and see how they have tackled this.
So we'll look at what our PDs currently do and then have
Yeah.
Rocky come in on Tuesday and
Yep.
perfect. Then my final on the conflict public defense is just wondering if we have had this recurring work session set for months, and just with most of the puzzle pieces in place, I didn't know if we wanted to end that, if we wanted
I'd go
to
ahead and
have-
pull it off so the judges and Carrie,
Yeah.
the judge especially,
And we
Just-
could have as needed. for
Just
sure.
let us know.
Right? Because as we get the other employee in there, as we get additional people coming for the senior administrative staff, right, we'll have a few here and there, but,
You or Braden can submit a request.
okay. But we'll take off the recruiting.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And that is that is the last one I have for the conflict public defense. My final item is a discussion of a phone service quote. Adam, do you want to come join me? That I have Adam McKinney to help discuss with the board.
Good morning, Adam McKinney, Chief Technical Officer.
Hello.
Good morning.
So the draft before you today is for quotes to provide on-site and remote phone system maintenance for fiscal year 23, for next fiscal year. We anticipate the cost somewhere in the realm of about $36,000. But, right, we'll know better when the quotes come back in on that. I just didn't know if you had any questions or concerns or...
This is the consolidation of all these different contracts. We've had each location being brought up at different times has given us patchwork. This is to combine these all together.
And how is it budgeted? For next
This
year.
year, I think we've all budgeted
Separate?
Yeah, there was a, the current contracts had like a incremental amount built into them. And I believe that most of the departments this year simply budgeted for the amount we anticipated to spend if we had continued with the existing contract. I think we'll realize some cost savings by combining these all together. So currently it's budgeted the same way that it was previous. But like I said, once we do this and combine it next year, we'll budget it as a single IT expense. Take those out of the other departments.
Okay.
You've looked it over and feel comfortable?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it covers more. I think right now we're paying for more service than we're using through the company. And I think by consolidating this and then also downgrading some of the 24/7 support, that it's only for emergency support. We get 24/7 versus 8 to 5 Monday through Friday support. We're going to realize some good cost savings on it. So, and I think there's a couple vendors that will meet the criteria for it too. So
Let's go ahead and move forward with it
Okay.
and get us something to sign.
okay, absolutely.
All right.
All right. we'll
Thank you,
get it
gentlemen.
posted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Wares, come on up. Treasurer and assessor?
What's that?
Oh, treasurer's office and the assessor's office. Come to join us also. Please introduce yourselves.
I'm Lionel Ware, and this is my wife Naylene.
Okay, and what's your request?
We bought some property from Merle Henderson, from Henderson Ranches in Aramo, the city of Aramo. There's an abandoned trailer house sitting on the property that's kind of in the way. There's some papers on the door that, according to them, there was a sheriff's sale, and it's still there. Nobody's living there.
No takers?
Huh?
No takers?
No takers.
You were hoping there were some takers, is what you're saying?
Yes, yes. I would like to propose that we pay the property taxes and interest and get rid of it.
How much is the property tax and interest on it?
For 2021, the warrant that went out was $236.59. But by paying the taxes does not give them ownership or the right to move the trailer by law. So what we told Daniel, we have to wait for it to go to sheriff's sale again for them to get ownership of the home, which won't be until probably October.
Why?
Because of the whole process, the taxes just went delinquent for the second half. We have to give them time to pay it, then the sheriff sends out a warrant. They can't do the sale until their time frame is up. She won't
So
do.
here's a question for you. If the mobile home just so happened to have an accident with an acetylene torch and a circular saw, probably reciprocating saw is what I would use, maybe an angle grinder. What do we do then?
The landfill's still gonna ask for paperwork when they take that to the landfill.
Well, not if there's little itty bitty pieces of it there won't. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that's what the law is.
I
That's how
get
we
that.
go with
It's
mobile
the data
homes.
plate. Is it a pre-1977? Is there a data plate on it even?
It is a 1977.
So there's a data plate then.
And it was just, what's weird about this one is it was just purchased by this person in November of 2020. They purchased it in November of 2020, but then never transferred the title into their name and have no
So it's a
contact.
delinquent property then?
So it's not set up to live in.
So
There's
No.
no.
It's just sitting on the property.
I have a question.
So it's an
It's
abandoned
abandoned.
trailer.
It's
Like-
skirted. It's-
No, so what we're asking is what do we do with, we call it abandoned, found on installation. So what do you do with abandoned property? If this was an abandoned trailer that was just sitting in the middle of nowhere that nobody claimed, how would you treat it?
Well, we'd have to get it declared abandoned. We'd have to go through the process for that. Which I'd have to research. I read it a long time ago.
And my understanding was they were willing to move it to another part of your property so that you could start building, is that correct?
So you want it sitting out by the road that on Meadowview where everybody travels back and forth?
Well,
This
I'm
ugly-
just asking a question, that's what
Yeah.
I was told.
We're trying to figure out a way how to get this to make
So it's not your trailer.
No.
Right.
It's
Pull it
their
off your property. It's abandoned on county property, then whose responsibility
Yeah,
is
then what
it?
happens? Do we hack it up then and take it to the landfill? What happens if you don't want to take it to the landfill and you want to take it to the recyclers? I mean, that's what I'm asking here, is we have some rules here that seem a little redundant. I don't know.
Well, it's already been for sale once,
Yeah.
and nobody bought it, and nothing's happened. So
Right, and
why do we
they-
keep repeating the same process over and over
This is
again?
the second half of
Yeah,
this
this
year.
is the,
Which, they can come to the cell and take care of all of that, which would give them ownership
Yeah,
and
but the
have
sale
the
can't be
right
until
to move
December.
it. October. Because the sheriff won't do a special sale for just one. It's too much work for them to do one mobile home. So they have to go through the whole process of all of these.
How come we can't act upon last year's? I don't care about this year's. It never got paid last year.
This is.
it's the fourth year. This is,
No,
This
it's
is
a
the fifth.
mobile
Oh, it's a
home.
mobile
The
home,
law
sorry.
reads that in order to take ownership of a mobile home, you have to prepay the current year's taxes.
so did nothing happen last year on it?
No, that's what we were trying to collect on, was the 2021 taxes.
So,
Did the
so
commission?
what do you have for this year's taxes?
I don't have this year's taxes yet. Won't have those till November.
So we could potentially cancel the value for 2022.
Well-
We're worried about 2021, right?
Well, and that's our decision, if we want to cancel the
Right.
values for 2021 and 2022, then,
But then this owner could come in and say, hey, I have a free and whatever, and,
Which has happened.
but.
not if it's abandoned.
But it's a trespass on your property is technically, it's littering. So why haven't we fined the guy for littering?
When did you purchase this property?
June 6th.
Of this year?
Mhm.
I mean,
And you
If-
purchased it from whom?
The
Henderson-
Merle, the gal that we bought it from,
Henderson Ranches.
she I guess the people that purchased it and the title was never transferred, the guy that the title's name is in jail or prison.
Oh,
And she contacted the mother and she says, anyway.
She didn't want.
and they don't know how to get a hold of this Logan Patrick that purchased it from?
Oh, Logan Patrick I don't think is who the title is in.
No, he never transferred it, but he purchased it in November of 2020 from Chalice Bloxham. Is that who you're talking to? Is the Bloxhams by chance?
No. There was a prior court mess going on with it a long time back. And the owner of the property said that was settled and the trailer was hers and she was just gonna haul it to a wash on her farm and offered that to me if but
So
I know that's
ultimately-
not legal to do that, but
It's your decision, right?
I mean, well, the problem is, so you have somebody's property left on your property, Brian, so isn't
Do we know who the owner of it is?
No.
The trailer?
I
So
know.
it's really
Yes,
abandoned.
it's Logan Patrick.
Logan
But
Patrick.
Well,
we
there's-
have no
okay.
But they're not
contact with
claiming it.
him.
We have somebody who's registered, so if somebody abandoned their car on my property, what could I do to get rid of that car? It's the same type of property then. So can I call and have it hauled off? How long do I have to have, can I call and have that person fined? They're littering, so
Oh, you can have it removed from your property.
but they can't,
That's-
yeah, so where can they remove this to? That's the whole problem. Where can they remove this mobile home to? Really, if it's abandoned and it's garbage, actually I'd use a backhoe, that'd be better. Little pieces.
So basically, it's your decision if you want to get rid of it.
Yeah, and I would consult a personal attorney if you have concerns about the legalities of it.
Well, but that's the
But-
problem is we're gonna hold a tax sale on their property.
Yeah.
They're trying to build a house, so we're impeding, by us not letting them do something with this, we are impeding their ability to build a house. So now, this person should be fined, I mean, really, they should be cited for littering.
So what's the process for abandoned property? Whether it's on county property or personal property?
I'd have to go look into that and get back to the commission because there's different routes that you can take. I know that, for example, like if the sheriff or police department, come in contact, they get abandoned property and it's not claimed within 90 days, then they can, in theory, go and sell it at an auction. But it's case specific, so if I could
So
get this
they
case
would have
specific,
to-
I can look up what the county's options are, and then get back to the commission.
Aramo Fire need to do a test burn?
Well,
I mean,
You have somebody that has said they would take it off your hands. Where they put it, I don't care.
we have no,
I feel.
you're not gonna hear any argument out of us. I already told you what I would've done. And I would've left the data plate sitting on a stake at the edge of my property. It's over there if you wanna take auction to it.
there was some kind of a court thing because they owed money to the property owner and she went, I don't know, she said, didn't she say she got enough money to pay the property taxes out of that court case? And she said somehow that the trailer was hers because of this court
Well, if
case.
she
but I
has some
couldn't-
documentation saying that, then that would solve this whole problem. If she was given ownership of this in a court case, then she has the right to take care of this.
And if she wants to take it off your property, sounds good to me.
She told me if I knew what to do with it, Lionel, I would have taken care of it already. She didn't have a way to move it. There's axles still under it, but the hubs,
Are
the
gone.
rims and tires are,
So this is for
can't
me, what I would, this is advice from Commissioner Tubby. What I would do, I would drag it to the edge of the property so you can get in and start building your house and let the sheriffs do their sale October 1. And then after October 1, if nobody buys it or does anything with it, then it's claimed to them, or then what? They can destroy it?
No, because they don't own it.
Well, but then how do they get ownership of it? That's the whole problem.
They have to purchase it at the sheriff's
Okay,
sale.
buy it at the sheriff's sale for $1 or whatever, and if you don't sell it at the sheriff's sale, then you can come back in
It won't
and.
sell for $1, it has to sell for at
Well,
least what
no,
the
but,
taxes
but
are.
this is, but then what do we do with property that's been taken like this if it doesn't sell? Then they can come back into the commission and
We
negotiate it.
have brought a couple to you. from
Okay.
2 years.
I'll sell it to you for $1.
Let me just say this. You have the information right there. We can make a motion to forgive the taxes for 21, 22.
The problem is, once we forgive the taxes, they don't go to sheriff's sale then, because then the taxes are paid and we stop the process.
Then they take it and do whatever they want with it.
Well, but you can't do that though, because then they still don't have ownership.
As long as,
It's still abandoned on their property.
I know, but what I'm saying, I'm trying to get to the legal point of it, as much as I would just go cut it up and get rid of it.
It already would have happened if it was me.
I know. If you drag it to the side, you have a sheriff's sale, nobody's gonna buy it. If somebody wants to buy it, great, and then get it off your property. If nobody buys it, it's drugged to the side, it's out of
Well,
there.
we found out that when they moved it in there, it broke in half. There was like a 6-inch gap, and they tried
Yeah,
patching it.
so that's why
I mean, so it's not gonna
it's
be
gonna fall
whole.
apart.
I would hook a chain to it, I'd drag it off the side, start building your house. Once the sheriff's sale happens, I don't know how much you're gonna try and sell it for. We don't wanna mess with the taxes because then the sheriff's sale stops. We want the sheriff's sale to go through, then that gives you the ability then to come back into the commission and work out a deal, and I'll sell it to you for $1 right now, or in October. That'll be the thing, because then you can come in and we'll eat the taxes, I don't care. And then it's done, and then you'll just have to dispose of it, and we'll catch our money back up when they take it to the landfill and dispose of it, or pack it up, or whoever you have to have done. But then that's legal, you can own it, and then that's the way to get rid of it, and you can start building your house right now. Just pull it to the side, get it out of the way. Don't even be nice about it, because then people aren't gonna, whatever, I don't, That's what I do. If it's gonna happen in October, is when your sale is, then that's the fastest way to have ownership, have title, have it destroyed.
So is there gonna be more paperwork added to the door of this?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So if the door was closer to the road, it would probably be easier, I'm just saying.
If all that was there was a nameplate.
Yeah, nameplate, put it on the nameplate right there. It's on this pipe. That's the legal
You
part.
live in Animal. Nobody's gonna notice.
All right.
You're making it a whole lot more difficult than it needs to be.
We are. But the problem is they're right. It's the way that the law states and what you don't want to have.
If this was happening on the other side of the county, nobody'd notice over there either, and it'd already be done.
So, okay. But that's what I do. Honestly, it's just wait, buy it at sheriff's sale, push it out of the way, get it out of the way.
Right, your
And
phone
in
number.
October is a,
I don't know a date yet.
Because then that way you don't have to,
Information.
because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to have to go get a lawyer. If you have to try and quit claim, abandon the property, go through the legal process, you could be there for a while. And then if somebody does
Look
pop
that
up,
over, Brian.
yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to catch up here. So has there been a public sale? For
Yes,
the
there's been
trailer
one already.
It was
Yes.
offered for the first half, yes.
Okay, so there's already been a sale, so the
And the
owner already had
sheriff-
notice of the sale, I assume, and had a
Well-
chance to, or we did our best.
We did what we were supposed to
supposed
do,
to,
and the
right.
sheriff returned the warrant to us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we got to go one more time before we can get rid of it. Or can we
Look
make
into
Well,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
Do the
I'll get back in there.
Let us
I'll
know the
do more
shortest
detail.
route.
yeah.
yeah.
But right now, yeah, I would have ran over it with a backhoe already.
All right.
Well, we got other properties that nobody knows where they ended up.
Yeah, we have others that just,
They've already
Trailers
come before.
miraculously
We
shut
have
up in the
no
middle of the
idea
night.
where that trailer is, so.
all right.
All
All
right.
right, sorry, we couldn't give you a
Yeah.
definite answer right now.
Well,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
I don't understand if this
Kyle.
is definitely sheriff's sale. We can do it. I think we can sell it to him right now.
Not without the sheriff doing it.
No, once it's been to auction once.
It doesn't read the same way as tax deed.
Is it twice? You have to go twice in?
No, I mean, we can keep
There has to
trying
be.
forever, but we usually come to you and take it off the tax rolls.
But there normally has to be a way to dispose of it.
To reacquire.
This will be easy to do.
we'll figure it out, because this is, I'm sure this is not gonna be the last one that's gonna happen.
Oh, no, definitely not.
We're holding them hostage on their own property.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk on public record.
Jen,
Yeah.
I'll see you later today.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
All right, Kyle.
Morning, Kyle Burmester, Bannock County Public Works Director.
Hal Jensen, Planning Director, Bannock County.
We're here to visit about the Dutch Ranch and the property that the county owns through there, surrounded by Mr. Potter's property. We last visited with the commission about this on needing to get a survey. So we've got the survey done now, and I guess, what would you like to do? My suggestions with this is, for the next step, to visit with Mr. Potter on what he would like to do. My problem with this is we've never got any kind of, what would he do to change things? I mean, to me, I just leave it the way it is. If we want to do something different with it, what's some of the options that he'd be willing to do to help make that better for his property? Alls we've got so far is, if you kind of look at it, he said, well, I'll give you this ground to make a parking area, but he's trying to give us state ground. I mean, the state already owns the ground, so he's not giving us any of his property or trying to work something.
But we're trying to get rid of that access way because it's on the Fish Creek Summit, right? Coming down? This is the one, correct?
On the
Yeah,
side.
but
On the
I
north side.
don't know why we'd want to get rid of any access though.
Well, I don't know. Well, it doesn't have access to anything. That's the problem. There's no real access there. There's no road that's cut in. There's nothing that's cut in. There's no anything that way that's there. And that's what we're saying.
But then again, what is access?
Well, here, hold on.
You're walking through, or you're riding a horse.
No, access is the legal right to pertain to move. We actually have it defined in our code. I had to look it up the other day in another hearing. And so, like I said, why do we have it? That's the whole key, is there's access underneath to the BLM ground and underground down under. I actually drove down there and I actually walked under that, and you can. There is state ground access down there. I look at it that I don't necessarily think it'd be a good idea to have people parking there or trying to pull in there. That's dangerous as all can be right there. And
Well,
that's why I
I'd say that you go contact Mr. Potter,
yeah.
look at it, see if he has a solution that he's looking for, and then we can have a conversation, whether we want to agree with him, get rid of the property, or put it up for auction, or whatever. But I have a tough time giving up access to public areas. That's a big conflict in this county anyway, and I hate just to do it without a plan.
Yeah.
Well, and my whole thing is all there is access to, it's access to what and what are we doing and why. There's other access areas that are in the way that are there that are safer. This is something that, crossing that road, that's not a good idea. I mean, I've almost been hit there several times with people coming in and around or driving like idiots, because that's just how it goes. And like I said, if we're not doing anything with it, we don't have a plan for it, why do we have it? I get real irritated with just ground that we own. Well, it's access. Well, how is it accessed? Who's going to maintain it then? Who's responsible for it and who's liable for it? So that's the big question that I have right now, is we don't have any of that addressed and we have no plan to have it. So why would we even want to keep it then? I mean, I'm sitting here, I pulled the parcel again right here to look at it, and there's no real reason. The access way, you have BLM is what it accesses, and that same BLM property accesses from under the road. You can, and I'm not pulling in front of it. That's what I'm saying. There is no access that's being cut off there if we get rid of it. I have no problem right now. I mean, I can look at it right now and I can see the 3 different ones, and the one that I walked under.
So the one you walked under, they could have horses, people, whatever. Where are you going to park?
Just on the side of the road, down underneath it. You have an easement way, but that's not. No, I'm not parking on Fish Creek. You go down under the.
Go look at it.
The old road. Go down there.
Go look at it and talk to him.
And look, that's where I'd go. That's like I said, right here, there's this, I can pull it on the map. It's right off the side of the road. I mean, that's right here, there's this little bridge, and I just parked right here and I walked right up it, right
Yeah.
up that draw.
I was just thinking of safety wise on your parking horse trailers and different things on the side of a county road, and then we're gonna maybe cause
I'd be-
problems that way.
I
We'll
would
do
be
a visual
more-
with him and talk to him and let's
I
have
would
a
be
plan.
more nervous
So-
about bringing horse trailers across that road and trying to pull in or pull out of there, coming down that highway is where I would be more concerned with, is if we're talking about the safety aspect of things. I would try and get anything crossing that road gone. I wouldn't have that. And the other thing is where would you park right now a horse trailer on that? Because we don't own that. That's his. And so how wide is a horse trailer?
It was actually state.
Well, no, his property, as I look on the GIS right here, he owns both sides of this.
Well, if you look at the survey, the state has purchased different ground and they have a huge square at the bottom of his property.
Of his property? Because it doesn't
Yes.
show it on our GIS.
It doesn't show it on our GIS, but it's a very new survey done by the state.
Well, so if there's ground, is the state willing then to let him park there?
That's why I was kind of like, why are we getting offered state ground?
Well, that's what I say, go and talk to the party so that we have a plan of what we're talking about here instead of
I would
guessing.
Well, that's where I'm at is,
I'd give it back to him and tax him for it. I mean, sorry. I mean, there's nothing there. There's no road. There's no anything.
Well, let's look at it, and like I say, I have a pile this deep
I know
on my
you do.
desk of right-of-ways and abandoned and stuff, and it's a whole lot bigger discussion than just one
Yeah.
property. So I don't wanna just start giving one away and here and there and piecemeal the situation. Let's come up with a plan together.
So in your survey, that's the little square then at the bottom. I can't read it on my computer.
yeah, it's kind of what you guys got, the one's pretty dark, it's
It's
hard to see.
This right here. Is that what that is?
That's that square, yes.
Okay. So did he sell that to the state then?
I guess, because they're doing that different design of deer fence and
Okay.
through there. So, yeah,
There's other things with the state we might wanna have conversation with and have our right-of-ways and
Oh, the state doesn't like
Communication.
that. Okay.
okay?
yep. Just me, Hal, you,
I'm done.
okay.
No, you just begun.
You just got going, Hal.
You're just starting, buddy.
With this discussion.
All right, thanks. I will get with Mr. Potter and see what his ideas are and bring that back to you.
All right, thank you.
Not just to you and Elise.
Chase, as well.
I don't see towers on here.
Hours?
Towers?
Cell towers.
Oh, towers. No,
I'm sorry.
Anybody get red tagged yet?
I don't know. Perhaps the building official could inform you better.
Anybody get red tagged yet?
On cell towers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did we get
Once.
send the sheriff down there yet?
Not yet. We're moving toward compliance and we're
Good.
hopefully getting closer and closer as we go along, but we're kind of on the line right now, so.
We try not to smash flies with sledgehammers is our first option, Commissioner.
Sometimes they go. They do
It
what you
works
want.
better
a lot
that way, I
Yeah.
understand. Hal Jensen, Planning Director, Bannock County. I have with me Elise Foster, Assistant Planner, and Chase Clark, Building Official. I will turn the time over to Elise for the first two items relative to pending contracts and some ideas and thoughts. There are issues with the resignation of the county engineer that we need to make you aware of, and then start discussions. Perhaps Mr. Chamel will share with us what our legal options are relative to official signatures on plats, etc.
Okay.
And then when we're done, Chase and I will inform you of a meeting we had, and then Elise will piggyback on that relative to contracts that we currently have with fire jurisdictions. So I'll turn the time over to Elise.
Elise Foster, Assistant Planner, Planning and Development. Going through the subdivision ordinance, we have found there are several items based on definitions of an engineer that require a civil engineer to sign plats and do numerous tasks within the ordinance.
A point of clarification, a licensed engineer?
A licensed Idaho civil engineer.
PE?
Yes, professional engineer.
Yes. There are several items they have to review, including certain bond requirements. They are required to sign the plat within the ordinance. So we're looking at reviewing contracts to subcontract out until the position can be filled. We will need some legal guidance on that, on whether that has to be an open bid or if we can
Professional
just
service, we can just find somebody who can
piggyback.
do it.
Okay. I know Road and Bridge has someone they've already worked with, so we were looking at that as an opportunity.
And that should be a small enough amount that we can take care of it internally under Shanda and procurement for services. We'll review that with her and then keep you informed on what legally we're supposed to be doing.
There might be some other payment options if you want to get with me on the dollar amount.
Okay.
We do have an engineer budget that could be an option.
I did review the engineer budget. We are negative on funds on the line item for the
We do bottom line
contracting. Perfect.
The other option would be until we get the position filled, we could move money from A to B.
That's
So
Perfect.
if you'll keep me looped in on that, I can help.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay.
And Mr. Chair, so we did discuss this yesterday, and so the commission's clear on it. We have to have an engineer sign off on it. Now, the planning director can oversee the engineers that we contract with, but they cannot sign off unless they're an engineer. And also, since we don't have a county engineer right now, the planning director is, by ordinance, the enforcement.
Yes.
The enforcer of the subdivisions, so.
Okay.
I just asked for some engineers. I'm waiting for a response.
Perfect.
There might be a couple engineering groups up the valley that we know of that would not be conflicts, but they would be big enough that they would have 4 or 5 engineers. Well, one of them has 35 engineers in the group, and I'm sure they could probably do the work.
As a comment, that would be internally from our office, that would be our preference to move outside of our jurisdiction for
Okay.
those services.
Yep, I'll see if I can get them to something like that just for the short term.
Because we won't be able to move forward until we get.
No, I know, and so we'll see if we can get.
But
somebody.
you can move forward, so yes.
Perfect.
Let's find.
No, we'll see if
engineers.
I'll see if I can get you some
Engineers
names.
and
I'll see if I can get you some names,
move
some
forward with
companies. I mean, there's some of the big, well, they're big companies, but there's a couple of them that if we could get somebody like that they'd have enough engineering staff support that you could probably get it done and work with it. Just to get
Road and Bridge, is that local or?
I'm not
outside
sure
the
who
area?
exactly the contract is that
Okay.
they have, but I know they have been working with some.
No, we should probably have, and to tell you the truth, it's not a bad idea. Let's open it up and see if we can get 4 or 5 different engineers doing some work. Maybe we could talk one of them off the edge to come back. You know.
We do have several plats that are very close to being needing to be signed.
Okay.
They're putting asphalt down in Ingham.
Yes, that is one of them.
We'll get there. We'll get there. And now, question.
Yes.
Does it say?
Don't look at me, I've been so swamped the last little while, I don't know if I have an answer.
So I'm just saying,
And we're just late.
the design group has a stamped engineer that signed and approved that.
It does. So the ordinance specifically goes through whether it is the developer's engineer opposed to a county hired engineer.
A reviewing engineer.
A reviewing
Second set
engineer.
of eyes. Representing the county's interests.
So the problem is you're going to have all of your local engineers are going to be excluded because most of your local engineers are the ones that are designing all of this.
Therefore my comment outside.
Yep.
our
Okay, gotcha.
locale.
There's one from Rexburg outside my house, putting a sidewalk in.
Oh, there's a group or two. If we can get them to quit doing nuclear stuff, maybe we can see if we can get them to come help us for.
The next item was the contracts that we currently have with surveyor reviews that is dictated by Idaho code for us to subcontract. That contract was signed in 2015 by resolution by commission. It is found that it probably is time to update those contracts. There's a few loopholes within that contract that we have that leaves open-ended timeframes for surveyors to get back to us, which is delaying subdivisions moving forward. Workload is very large for a lot of these surveyors. We also have one getting ready to retire in the next couple years that's on that list. So we probably just need to work on moving forward with looking at other surveyors to fill those gaps.
With every challenge, good things come forward.
Yes. None of those surveyors, so you're aware, have mentioned the funds need increased at this time. I have talked to one specifically that has said, based on what they're being paid for the work they're doing, it is sufficient. Do you have any questions on that one?
No.
Okay. So I think we're ready for fire district.
So, as a segue into this next conversation, we've been back and forth relative to plan reviews with the fire districts. It inherently has its issues and its shortcomings. In that process, over the last little while, Chase, the building official, and myself were called. We went and met on a Monday evening on June 13th with a group of the fire districts. All were invited, some chose not to attend. Wes, our emergency response manager with the county, was there with us, and we talked about a number of different things. Chase will fill you in, but this is coming from us so that you're aware of this conversation and where the potential is and where we would like to steer and direct and move the final outcome. So Chase, if you'll.
Yep. Chase Clark, Bannock County Building Official. So basically, as Hal said, we met with the fire districts, and every year we go over items that are of concern and issues, and specifically in regards to the WUI code, the Wildland Urban Interface Code. There's lots of issues that our fire districts are experiencing, from the permitting process up front to inspections to enforcement mechanisms. And what we're finding is that they are just strapped for time. And their goal, what they want to focus on, what they mentioned during this meeting, was they would like to have more time to train, prepare, and actually respond to the emergencies. And what we're finding, and the response from them was basically they're being wrapped up in these administrative tasks of the code. And one of the discussions from our end, both Hal and myself, were, we do this day in and day out, this whole permitting thing, and it's what we do. It's kind of our wheelhouse. And there's a lot of tasks that actually cross over and that we're double checking. And so we have fire districts coming out, spending their time to check things that we're already on site checking and doing. And essentially we have these older contracts from 2008 that originally assigned the responsibility of the whole WUI code, which it's not a big code, but there's a lot in here that pertains to what you have to get done. And they don't have time to accomplish it. And one of their suggestions, and the general consensus among all of them, were, why don't we have this, these permitting issues, these inspection issues, and these enforcement issues, why don't we have a central authority, taking this over and providing these services, because that's going to cut down on their time that they have to spend doing such. And Hal and I, we were, ecstatic to think, oh my gosh, this could actually help us provide an even better public service to what we already do in regards to turnaround times, cutting down personnel time. We have the resources, we have the staff. There'll be a little increase in workload, but not a major increase, because again, we're already doing a lot of this. And so we're hoping to rewrite these contracts in a way that favors both the county and the fire districts moving forward. And how that plays out, we're still working on that, and we're bringing Wes into that equation too, to so everyone's on the same page and everyone's in agreement to how to move forward with this.
So when I buy a piece of ground out in the county, I submit for my building permit. Instead of having to go to the fire district and they do all their stuff, you guys will just do everything in-house then?
Yep.
So as soon as I'm doing plan review, part of that plan review will assume responsibility of the few items in the WUI code that also apply to that structure.
So who sets the WUI code?
We have adopted, so the WUI code is interesting because it's not like the International Fire Code. So the International Fire Code actually comes through the state fire marshal down to the fire districts. The WUI code is not that way. The WUI code is only adopted at the local jurisdictional level. And so the county is the one that takes up the responsibility for the WUI and then decides who the code officials are, essentially.
So can we modify the WUI? Who modifies the WUI?
We do.
Okay, I'm all game with this. I want your 150-foot driveway thing. I want that fixed. I'm dead. I am dead serious. I am not getting in that fight, and I'm not going to have you guys be the ones that are going to have to fight and get chewed on over that. That is going away, and that needs to say, you know, adequate turnaround, whatever. This is ridiculous that you have to have a road when you have a perfectly fine field that I can turn around in right next to it. Hey, you have this big piece of grass right next to you that you can turn a truck around in, but we're going to make you put a $50,000 road in to be able to access your property. Other than that, that's awesome. I mean, seriously, like that makes the process 10 times better.
So some points of clarification, and we've run into this, which gives me some real heartburn. We had a resident that applied for a building permit. It was granted, self-executed, called for a final occupancy. Final fire inspection said that they would not give a final occupancy because he had combustible siding on his residence, citing the WUI code. But they have no jurisdiction relative to the WUI code. We adopted it. If the building official chose not to, then the occupancy should have been granted. Are you following me?
Yes.
They were calling on a code that they had not adopted.
Yeah.
So therefore, they have no jurisdiction to use that code.
Well, and why do we have?
As a comment, I'm bringing it up because it was if we had Chase trained as a fire review, then he has the ability to be in the field at the time. When we have building permits that go out,
He would have been the one.
it takes sometimes 3 weeks for them to go do a site inspection to make sure that there is defensible space. When we're sitting after 10 days with the permit ready to go out the door, waiting for the fire jurisdiction to be responsive, of which they're all volunteer, et cetera. So I'm just sharing with you, this would be a huge step forward. One, in response, in regards to effective application of the codes, as well as a more efficient use of time, money, and
You have
resources.
100% support of the two commissioners that are here.
Okay.
And I know the other one's probably going to be pretty excited because this is an efficiency thing. This is how we fix that 150-foot driveway thing that drives me nuts, because your guys will just get yelled at it, because right now it's the fire guys that we can blame it on. It's them. Go yell at them. But if we're the ones that can change that, that needs to be changed and corrected. And there needs to be some of those authorities then that I've read through some of that stuff, and I don't think it's been updated or checked, or to your point, there's some of these things that we need to actually have some conversations on.
Absolutely. And part of that too, you know, we don't like to spring changes on people, but there are absolutely, we can go in just like any other code and change those items as we see fit as a county, and then enforce them as such.
Well, and a lot of them are, it's just, we've had building materials, building practices, different things have changed.
Yeah.
And when was the last time that thing was touched? I think the one I was looking at was like 1998 or something like that.
Then that's exactly why we adopted this more current code, because it actually has the ability to negotiate, so to speak. It has trade-offs within the code that aren't in that original code.
Yep.
And so, there's so much more tools within this current code, which is why we moved to adopt this one.
Yeah. No, I'm good with that. It's awesome.
Wes will be our coordinator with the fire districts, because they are actually looking to consolidate. Instead of having all of these fire districts, they're looking to
bring them all in one.
Find out what makes sense relative to efficiencies, as well as backups when a call goes out and who becomes backup, etc. For us, it just makes sense, one, to the county as well.
With all the fire chiefs, either this week or next week.
You say you do have a meeting?
Wes has one, it's on the calendar, I noticed.
Wes would have joined us for other items, but he has the dit gamboo, and he's not going to spread it in the office, so he stayed home.
Quick clarification, so you guys will take over the fire inspections? Is that what I'm hearing?
This code, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But you have to get certified first, correct?
Not technically,
Okay.
but it is a support.
Is there a fee change? That's what I knew earlier.
Yeah, we would go
So-
down that path as well, Christie. We
Okay.
would look at how we would handle that.
We are already going to be redoing fees, so that would be a great opportunity to do a one-time publishing. And then also, that affects our office, so if we could be involved in the communication as well.
I actually think in your fees, you might not even, to tell you the truth,
Might not be needed.
you're not even gonna need it, because your in your plan review, you're gonna just add that in. And then when you site inspect for your CO or anything else, that's just one of the checklist items that you're gonna tag into it. Now, if you get called out specifically, where we'd have to have it is if you had a specific fire something. So a fire inspection fee would be like your own individual set aside, but I don't think there'd be any other fees other than like,
What do the fire districts charge now, do you know?
It is $100 for accessory structures and $250 for residences.
but we're already collecting it in the fees because we're doing the site review and everything, and there's no change. I mean, you could make an increase to your site review, to your plat fee, but if you're already doing it, and you're already driving out there, that's what I'm saying is you just need to be careful that we don't jack the fee up so high that then we're not, you can't justify it.
And Commissioners, we brought it to you more specifically for my own knowledge and understanding about what is that relationship between Bannock County and the fire districts.
The fire districts are self-elected,
They do their own thing.
and they run under their own bylaws.
Okay.
We have zero say on what they do. They get their own tax monies.
They're their own taxing district.
And
Okay.
so we have zero say in how they run and operate.
But if they want to do this, we need to get the paperwork then put together, get them all to sign it,
MOU and
and get the paperwork and work with Brian, whatever legal binding, whatever we need, put it together, and let's get that done as fast as possible, because this is actually one of the biggest hangups for granting permits and getting COs closed. And if you do this, you guys are gonna walk on water for people.
Well, I was told to correct the department, so this might be one of the last steps.
That's the last step.
No, we got plenty more.
Don't tell them that. So since he threw me under the bus, he dresses like this when it's hot, just by I told him to go home and change and put on a tie, but
You're good. Thank you.
thank you.
That is.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a letter approval for
Oh, direct bill for the
direct
holiday.
bill at Holiday Inn. I signed it on.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we ratify the direct bill agreement with Holiday Inn. I don't know where it's located, Twin Falls.
Twin Falls. We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We also, whoop, there. This is approval of the letters that we've signed. Action, what is it? How did they put it? Action letter to be signed by the commissioners for BOE.
So moved.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, looks like Scott left. Emma, you're jumping ahead.
Every time you want more money, come on.
I know. I really didn't plan on coming back till after the fiscal year, but Emma Iannacone, Public Information Officer, here to request using $800 of the Commissioner's staff travel budget to pay for candy to pass out during the Bannock County Fair Parade.
Bannock County, and are we doing homecoming or what else are we doing? Let's knock it all down in one thing.
I have not made any plans for homecoming yet.
I would just say, so our travel money, yeah, we forgot we did the 4th of July parade, and now we realized we should probably do the Bannock County parade down at the fair.
Yeah.
But then we're gonna have homecoming too, that people are already asking.
So I would say that this motion would be up to.
Yep.
Up to, yes.
You don't have to spend it all.
No. Yeah, that is the,
Encourage them to go buy about $500 worth of candy and see what that.
What
and
that
if
does.
They get my approval, then. then they're good.
yes, have to run it by Ernie.
I would say, yep. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve up to $800 be authorized out of the Commissioner's travel budget for this expenditure.
A motion, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Scott?
See you. Considering we make her go to the parade, we should probably make her throw candy. You want toys, huh?
I don't know about toys. Definitely a few work machines. So Scott Crowther, event director, business manager. I'm seeking approval to use the remaining PILT funds to purchase a backhoe and a two Polaris side-by-sides to be used on the complex.
Okay. You have them. You have them bid. You have
I
the.
do.
You have the exact cost of what they're going to be.
I do have the exact. Well, let me give you the exact cost. I sent some of the information forward, but I did not add it up myself. Give me 1 second. Just tell you exactly how much that costs.
You visited with the comptroller and all this money is available?
Yes, we've talked about it.
However, never mind.
What?
However.
Yes, he did.
There's a however?
There's not. There's nothing. Yes, he did. He is perfect. He's done his due diligence. I just need to do a open budget request.
Okay.
And I will add that to the other items that we have.
Okay. So when can they go purchase and pick up or whatever? Can they direct bill
As
us?
soon as
Or?
you tell them they can.
Okay. All right.
I have the money.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we authorize purchasing the backhoe and the two side-by-sides as requested.
Have a motion, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
With that being said, we are